All right, President Obama was on a comedy web series called Between Two Ferns, and get this, 15 million hits this week. Let's take a look. Okay, we're going to not listen to that, but we're going to talk about it because I have a feeling that we were amongst the 15 million people that viewed that this week. What'd you think?
I thought it was funny, but the goal was to try to get young people engaged with Obamacare. So I don't know if that really happened, but they were making fun of the president, and it was in jest, and so I found it entertaining. Was it helpful? No.
Did you think that with all the serious topics that have been happening this week, was it appropriate?
Sure. The president is always looking for new ways to reach people. One of the things you have to understand in this media age, when there's so many outlets, it's very hard for the president to project a message. So what's interesting about Obama is not whether or not he was successful. That will be up to the audience.
Well, that was his goal.
But of course, but he is trying out new means to see how he can reach people.
Yeah, he's sat on the View couch. He's done all sorts of things.
Right.
But I'm saying with everything that's happened with the Senate and the CIA, with everything with the missing airplane, with everything that's happening over in Turkey and that's happening over in the Ukraine, it just seemed a little bit of a very light touch when he hasn't been answering some questions.
Well, except that Obamacare was a serious matter, and he wanted to reach that serious matter through humor.
But it wasn't serious, and it didn't work.
I think the reason why he accepted this was not only to show a lighter side in the face of these very, very pressing issues, but ultimately his presidency hinges, or the legacy of his presidency hinges on the success or failure of Obamacare, at least within domestic politics.
So he's desperate. Has to do
well,
something.
I don't know if he's desperate or not. We'll see ultimately how successful it is. Definitely, there were some hiccups, to say the least, in the launch of it. But if this is a case where he can make, in a lighthearted way, a stronger advertisement for Obamacare, then I think he'll take every opportunity to do that.
What you're saying to me, it goes into the narrative of he's not being serious about anything. He's dithering on everything.
Well, perhaps if it was another week, it certainly was very funny. I will give it that. But I'm just saying, on perhaps another week when there wasn't so many pressing issues. But again, 15 million people did weigh in. Probably a few more are going to check it out.
And don't forget one other thing. On foreign policy questions, most Americans don't pay that close attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, but what they do pay close attention is domestic politics, and Obamacare is a central issue.
Absolutely, it hits the pocketbook.
So, I mean, I think you make a good point. The counterpoint, perhaps, for the president was, most people are concerned about Obamacare, not Crimea.
Yeah. You got it.
And this was easy points for him.
We're going to go to our next subject. Nike signing a 10-year, $1 billion, that's B with a billion. It's a deal to outfit Manchester United. Now, the English soccer team is considered the most valuable franchise in the world, but is it worth it? What is Nike going to get for $1 billion? Anybody want to take that one?
I think it's worth it. I do. I mean, people love that game. I mean, they go crazy.
It's the most popular sport in the world.
Yeah.
And I lived in England for 4 years, and they were the team.
I grew up playing football, soccer, however you want to call it. I'm passionate about it, still am to this day. Not a Manchester United supporter, but I think this is an interesting case that global football is really becoming not only more important as a sport in the United States, but anytime you leave the U.S., you see every little 8-10-year-old boy, whether it's in Italy or Mexico or South Africa, running around in Man U tops. So this is probably a very good commercial move for
But let me ask
Nike.
you a different question, and we'll give this to you, Dr. Sanders, and then we're going to go to the next subject. When it comes to these high-profile exchanges of money, whether salaries, whatever it might be, nobody's jumping up and down on this one. Nobody seems too upset that they're going to go spend $1 billion.
Well, partly is because we've seen so much of that around the world, and I think we've become sort of insensitive to that. I think you bring a good point that we should become more sensitive to that. But millions, billions, gazillions. Unfortunately, the figures have become so astronomical that we don't react to them anymore.
But that's good. It's a big business. It's business. It's not government money. There's a big difference. Good for them.
But of course, money comes from ordinary consumers, and I suspect
Well,
that ordinary
It's their
consumers
choice
should.
to buy what they want to
Sure,
buy. Free market.
but, of course, there's a free market component to this, but the market does not control, the consumers do not control how the money is being spent.
Yeah, I don't know how much free choice is when you live in Manchester and your only choices are Man City or Man U. And if you've ever been to Manchester,
Absolutely.
it is a social pressure. This
It
is
absolutely is.
not
There's
free
no better
market.
way to
This is
put
not
it.
free market forces taking place in English football.
All right, well, after more than 18 months, many areas in New York and New Jersey are still rebuilding after Superstorm Sandy. But fasten your seatbelts, the Thunderbolt roller coaster is returning to Coney Island, only this time it will be made of steel, not wood. This week, the city broke ground on the new roller coaster, which will sit where the original Thunderbolt operated since the 1920s. So certainly some fun news there. I'm actually one of those people that, as a kid, I would plot out my summer on where the next roller coaster was, so I don't have to go too far. You're going to come with me, right? After the show, we'll go out to
I'm going to say, Mia, we're going to hang out this summer because I love roller coasters. So I think this is exciting news.
But
It's great.
it's just the history of it. I mean, 1920s to the 1980s, I think that's just incredible.
Absolutely.
And was this a
But I'll
coaster
sit-
that
I'll
was
sit
out in the
this one
water?
out.
You're going to sit this one out, okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a roller coaster fan.
Not a roller coaster fan?
No, that must be a political science thing. I'm not a roller coaster fan.
So St.
either.
Peter's
That's
University, it's
boring.
not, you're not going to come on. Yeah, it's not that
Merry-go-round
far from
for
you
But our
guys.
students will love it. Our students will love it.
I think it's an interesting case in that this old wooden roller coaster is essentially being retrofitted for new weather patterns, or dare I say climate change. This is a more durable structure, and especially after Superstorm Sandy, which really devastated the Jersey Shore and the Long Island and Queens Coast and Brooklyn Coast. This is an interesting case where maybe disaster preparedness is taking place in an amusement park.
Well, I'll tell you what it really meant to me, and you know I wrote the book on the Superstorm Sandy and the recovery and all that, so I've been all over the tri-state area and even covered parts of Haiti. But I just think it's just a sign of even spring and even the fact that there's the recovery, because tens of thousands of people, as we all know here, are still out of their homes. And a lot of people, you know, the focus, it's 18 months later, and I always say, you know, West Pennsylvania, nobody's really talking about Sandy. It's long forgotten.
Yeah.
So I think it puts a little bit more
Symbolic.
Yeah, it's symbolic, but it also is a little bit of a PR thing and good to bring the storm back to the forefront in minds of people.
It's still a very, very important issue in terms of resiliency and bouncing back. And New York, I mean, the former mayor of New York, Mike Bloomberg, one of the first things he did was set up a global NGO dealing with urban resiliency.
I give him a lot of credit for that one.
Yeah, and that's really the cutting edge of global development work, is creating urban centers that are much more durable and resilient and can withstand these new waves of storms and climate change.
So does that mean
events.
you're going to go on the roller coaster?
I might try it if you buy the ticket. I'll go on with you guys.
All right. We'll protect you. It's okay.
Well, this might be just the cutest thing you'll ever see. Baby gorilla comes around after a rare C-section birth. As the first time doctors have performed a C-section, the baby, a little girl, weighed in at 4 pounds 6 ounces. And of course, again, this is just like that roller coaster was symbolic of the recovery. This is just symbolic of just some of the advances in science. Just amazing that they were able to deliver this little gorilla that's not almost the size of a baby girl boy.
I don't like monkeys. I mean, you know, I'm glad that they say it's like, but okay, whatever.
Well, but just the miracle of science.
Yeah, that's
if you
nice.
will.
I love that part, but no, I don't want. I've
Right.
always been scared of monkeys. They're just, I don't know.
Well, there's always something empowering about birth and creation and something new, and I think this is a wonderful moment.
Yeah.
Because it holds all the possibilities, and we all love possibilities, and this is a symbolic as
Yikes,
well as a
ugly.
medical event.
That is not cute. That is an ugly, ugly. Oh my God.
But not to the mother. I mean, let's.
To only the mother and Mia.
I worked with Jane Goodall, right? So I worked
Of
with
course
a lot
you did.
So, but I just thought, again, just a nice little lighthearted story to end our show with. So I'm Mia Toschi. On behalf of all of us here at Fresh Outlook, thanks for watching. We'll see you back here next week for a new season. That's right. This week actually marks the first week of spring, so let's leave that on a positive note. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks again for your company.